So this is the second video in this series of testing out graphics cards on free games, or the most popular free games. And in the 3060 Ti, I went through a painful lesson learning that Bongo Cat isn't a real game. So to give you some backstory, in this series, what I do is take graphics cards and try and find the most popular free games at the time. There are, of course, games that have had significantly higher peak players, on that game, but I try to find them that are most popular at that moment. I tried out Bongo Cat on 3060 Ti. I had no clue that it literally was just a cat going on your desktop screen. So we're not going to be doing that in today's video, but I am going to tell you what we are going to do. This time, not the 3060 Ti, we have a 2060. This is a 6GB version, and we are going to be testing it on two different CPUs because the odds are you guys have probably tried to upgrade before and you don't know if that CPU is strong enough or overkill. And the 2060 is a card where you probably could handle a little more processor than you think, and I want to try that out. And we're going to be testing out that 2060 today with two different CPUs because I think there is a strong chance that potentially some of you guys may be out there on an older processor and go, hey, I've got that 2060. If I just got a better processor, would it be good enough to play some of these free games? Or maybe even some of the demanding, popular, expensive games. So we're gonna be starting out with a Ryzen 5 2600. That's underneath that cooler right there. And then we're gonna go up to the Ryzen 5 5500. We're going to benchmark 5 games on both of those CPUs with the 2060. So we're gonna start off with not Bongo Cat. We're gonna go Apex Legends, Fortnite, Where Winds Meet, Delta Force, and War Thunder. So all of those are either like somewhere in the top 5 or top 10 in Steam or Epic Games right now. So that's why we're trying those games out. And we're gonna start out on the 2600. I will run through everything on 1080p on both CPUs. And then I'll give you a benchmark in the middle, showing all the charts and graphs of how well each game performed, the highs, the lows, and the average. And then at the end, I will do a chart comparing the 5500 and the 2600 to give you an overall idea of, if you're on the 2061, can you play these games? And if you're not on a 2060, you're on an older card, if you upgrade, is it worth it so that you can play those games? And then 2, potentially a second question that you might be asking yourself is, let's just say you're on an old i7, and maybe you're on like a 7700K or something like that, and it's kind of started to slow down. Well, the Ryzen 5 5500 is a really, really cheap CPU, and apparently at Micro Center they had this amazing bundle deal. Are you gonna get a big boost in performance if you were to go up to something like that? So I'm gonna start this benchmark, I will stop rambling, and we will play some games, guys. All right, you guys, we are in Apex Legends on the Ryzen 5 2600. I gotta say, I have not played a lot of Apex Legends, and it's probably been 2 or 3 years, so I really don't remember how to play this. I apologize in advance if it seems like I don't know what I'm doing, because I don't. Let's see if I can show you the settings real quick while we're going through this. So we're on a 1080p monitor. I have VSync disabled. These are the settings that it defaulted me to. I'm probably not gonna change them because I don't know much about this game. I don't even remember how to get out of this vehicle. So, oh yeah, I need to start the benchmark. There we go. I am just gonna follow my team, try not to get us killed. We're probably not gonna get through a whole lot of this one because I don't know. And for a game that seemed like it had so many active players, so my cousin used to love this game. But for a game that seems like it had so many active players, we really struggled. Even back then, this was like years ago, we struggled to get lobbies, which is just crazy to me. Oh man, you guys, I have not played in so long. It's always so funny to come to games that like at one point I kind of knew, which I will not say I knew well. I did not know well, I just knew how to shoot a gun. That was like the only strength I had. But anyway, for being a game that like had such a big player base, or is still super popular, like it has some of the highest concurrent players right now, like, oh, that did not feel good. That was really laggy. Wow, I'm really bad. Yeah. Oh no, guys. I'm gonna try to do a little more. I don't know. Do I even bother trying to do a little more? That's probably enough. I'm not gonna get much better at the game. That's probably good enough. Let's go ahead and call it there. We'll swap over to the next game. We're gonna go to Fortnite, then Where Winds Meet, then Delta Force, then War Thunder. All right, guys. Now we are in Fortnite, a game that I am significantly more versed in. We're in full screen 1080p, VSync is off, performance mode, epic, otherwise for view distance. Otherwise, everything is low or off. And I will say this, the 3060 Ti was very, very playable. There was mostly smooth on Apex Legends until I started shooting at like an actual target. It felt pretty bad. So I'm thinking that this is where, I don't think it's the 2060. I think both these games are more demanding on the CPU, and this 2600 has definitely started to age. I think you could definitely pair it with like a really strong graphics card and it might make up for some of that, but holy moly. That was my kill. Wow, I'm getting with pretty good players at this point. Oh, okay, that was enough. That was enough. There's a slight delay at the end there. But yeah, that was probably enough for us to see. Cool. We got some Fortnite in. We got owned, but it is what it is. It felt like there was some stuttering in there. We'll definitely see from the chart. I feel like there were some pretty bad 1% lows. Now, what are we going to? Where winds meet? Let's go to where winds meet. I just accidentally kicked the camera. All right, guys, where winds meet on the Ryzen 5 2600. Again, I thought this game just looked really cool. It's a free game. I think it's really competitive with some of the games that are paid for. I'm sure that you do have to pay for some things in this. I'm not 100% certain. I have not researched it far enough. I'll go ahead and show you guys the settings really quickly, though. Let's see where we're at. We're still on the where winds meet visual style. I haven't played with any of that, so at some point maybe I will. Full screen, VSync is off. I'm assuming that that means off. I think that's correct. It's so hard to know. So it has us on balanced, which puts us to low, medium, some things on high. Visual quality, because Fortnite and Apex Legends are more about performance, whereas like a game like this is more about the experience. So this is where I think sometimes like these older CPUs are fine, especially if you start to go up in like the GPU power. The 2060 is by no means like a powerhouse, but you can see here like it's doing, did I start the recording? I couldn't remember. It's doing okay. So let's go ahead and run around a little bit here. Try and do some things. I'll give you guys some descriptions. So when I'm playing like the high FPS need, shooter type games, like it's really important that you are getting high FPS, that it stays consistent, but these like aren't as big a deal. So apparently I'm fighting here. I don't remember how to do things. I'm just mashing buttons and I'm winning. Let's go. I'm so good at video games. Obviously, this is a super demanding game. I am curious whenever we throw it in the 5500 if that improves the FPS. Maybe it will slightly. I don't know that it's going to, though. I know it will probably improve or should improve Fortnite and Apex Legends, showing that this 2060 is probably still pretty capable. So enough of this. Let's go to, what are we on, Delta Force? Okay, so we are in Delta Force here. And last time I tried this, I just did this in like Team Deathmatch. So I'm gonna try it in the King of the Hill and see if maybe there's a bigger player base, if it seems more enjoyable. Because when I tried to play this in the Team Deathmatch, it was pretty much dead. It was supposed to be 8v8 and it was like 2v2 or 3v3. So I don't know, some of these games, it makes no sense how it says there's such a high current player base and then there's like no one that's playing. Okay, let's take a look at the settings really quick. Graphics. This is again gonna show me where we're having a hard time with the CPU. I think the CPU is really limiting the 2060. Unlimited, 5, VSync is off. Ultra, let's go down to low. You know what, we'll rock medium because I think that's what we can realistically play with. Okay, 70 FPS. Oh, that is real spike-like. Oh man, this might not be playable. This might not be playable. Let me go down to low. This is not something I'm enjoying right now. Did that help? Let's go try and capture. Oof. Oof, this is rough, you guys. Oh, you guys, it gets really laggy in some of these fights here. Am I trying to capture something? I'm down. Oh, it's laggy. Oh, it's laggy. Whew, okay, that's probably enough there, guys. We'll call it. We'll go to our final game. What is it, War Thunder? Right, the plane one. We're gonna switch over to War Thunder. All right, guys, we're back in this plane game, War Thunder. This is pretty much just you guys watching me fly around like a doofus, having no clue what I'm doing. Let's go ahead and start the test. Oh, I mean, we're getting pretty solid FPS, so that's a good sign. It's been kind of just discouraging. Oh, yep, there was the drop. It's been kind of discouraging with this 2600, so I'm really hoping that we're going to get an uplift when we go to that 2500 or the 5500 because, oh yeah, I'll show you the settings really quickly here. I don't even know what we're on. Graphics, full screen, 1440p. That's why it looks so small. Okay. Apply. That should help a lot, guys. See, I should check these things before I tell you that because there it is. All right, graphics, 1440p, unlimited FPS. Can I even do DLSS 4? I don't know. We'll leave it there because it looks like we're getting 100 plus FPS. No frame gen, custom. Let's go down to like medium and apply that. 160. Okay, that seems playable. This is better. Let's see what it looks like whenever we start shooting things. Oh, this game is frustrating. How do you guys like this so much? I'm so bad. Oh, I'm gonna crash again. Oh! Oh! We'll try some more. We'll try some more, guys. Probably the best experience outside of Where Winds Meet so far. Everything else CPU based. Any of those kinds of free, and this is where it's probably funny, is if most likely if you are playing something that is free, it seems like that's like where all the FPS, or not FPS, but like esports kinds of games are. You probably need a better CPU for that, which most likely if you're playing something free, your CPU is not gonna be great. Yes, yes, I did it, I'm the best. Oh, that's enough. That's enough. That's all I've got. All right, I'm gonna show you guys the chart here. I'll stop this test here. This is the only game that was kind of playable outside of Where Winds Meet, and I didn't even get too in depth with that. It felt like it was fine during the fight scene, but I'm gonna pull up the chart here, and then we'll switch over to the 5500. All right, guys, so here is the chart of the 2600. Honestly, that was pretty poor performance, in my opinion, and I'm really hoping that we jump quite a bit on the 5500. So you can see, like, the red is the 1% low, the green is the max, the blue is the average. Our 1% lows were pretty bad on everything. I guess I should have put the numbers on here, but you guys can see those down here. So even in Apex Legends, like 75, 74, whatever this might be, was our best 1% low, but there still was that big drop. I'm surprised it wasn't below 74 FPS whenever I tried to shoot. When I first really got into a battle, Fortnite was mostly playable. Where Winds Meet, I mean, it dropped down here to whatever this might be, like 12 or something like that, but I didn't really experience that, and that was pretty playable. Delta Force was almost unbearable, and War Thunder, I don't know why it says we had this like 1 FPS low or whatever it might have been, but it was a very playable game. I mean, we were above 175 on our max, and our average was almost 150. So like this was the most playable. Everything else seemed kind of meh. I imagine if we played Apex Legends more though, it would have been okay. Fortnite, I don't know. I'm really curious to see how it does on the 5500. So 2600 and 2060 so far, I have been slightly disappointed. We're gonna see how it does when we get to the 5500. So let's go ahead and swap to that real quick. All right, guys. So now we are in Apex Legends. We've got the 5500 loaded up. Let me run you through the settings really fast. VSync is disabled. Everything else should be the same. It's on Ultra. I'm just leaving this default, so whatever is on default. So we'll see if this is higher FPS, if it's a consistently higher, like 1% low. It already is feeling a little smoother, so I think we're starting to get more out of the 2060 than we were when we had the 2600 paired with it. So, but this does feel smoother, and I think maybe, I could be losing my mind here, but maybe it looks better too. Wow, that guy's not going down. Dang, okay, I'm terrible, but that's enough for us to see like how well it ran. I mean, I am really curious. So let's go ahead and swap over to Fortnite. I do expect an improvement in the performance there as well, but clearly this is not my game. All right, guys, now the 5500 is loaded up with Fortnite. Go ahead and start this test. Apex Legends ran smoother. 100% it was a better experience. So I am assuming we're going to have a more consistent experience on this 5500 than we did on the 2600 and Fortnite as well. It's leading me to believe that there is probably more life in this 2060 than some of the older CPUs. So I could be wrong though. You know, there's always room for human error or things that I say or don't know or like just have no clue about. So I think those are all bots. All right, so this is already a significantly more playable experience than what I was getting on the other one. Probably can kill this guy if I want to. Oh, no, or die. That was probably enough. Definitely felt more playable. Obviously, I'm a noob and died there. What are we going to? Where winds meet. Before we even get to the chart, I already feel like it's a significantly better experience. So this is leading me to believe already, and we'll get to this further later on, but if you are on an older CPU and have a 2060, you might get more life out of it if you upgrade. Just a thought. All right, Where Winds Meet is loaded up here. Let's go ahead and take a look at the settings. I've been trying to leave things on default just because they've been running pretty well. Yeah, it still has us unbalanced, so everything's mostly low or medium or high or whatever. Well, the one thing that might get annoying to me if I were to actually play this game is there are so many quests and things to do, but I guess a lot of people enjoy that. It's hard to tell if this is higher. I think it is slowly higher or slightly higher than what we were getting on the 2600. Ooh. The 2060 is getting mad. Is it getting too hot? I mean, it's at 76 degrees, 77, so is it possible I don't have adequate cooling for this thing in here? Let's go ahead and go over to Delta Force. This definitely felt playable. I don't really know what to commentate about it because it just has me run back and forth between things. So let's go to Delta Force. All right, Delta Force. I am really excited about this one because I'm expecting it to be more playable. On the 2600, it was not a good experience. I would not recommend it, but here with the 2060 and the Ryzen 5 5500, I am expecting us to get an experience that's either really good or at least relatively playable. But the 2600 and 2060, I could not recommend that pairing at all. So let's take a look at the settings that it has us on really quickly. Borderless windowed, unlimited FPS, and it's still keeping us on low. I think we should probably keep that low. So far it's feeling pretty smooth. No, there are some minor issues that I'm running into. Yeah, it's still feeling pretty rough, you guys. I don't understand what it is. Is it the 2060 just can't handle these games? Is that where I'm running into the most problems, is the 2060? Because I assume if I were to pair this with this 5500 with, I mean, we did. Didn't we? No, we did the 3600, didn't we? We did the 3600 with the 3060 Ti, and this game played fine. Are we seeing that the 2060 is potentially outdated? Because I expected us to have more consistency, but I don't know if we're going over the VRAM limit, which I don't think we have been. I don't know what's potentially causing us to see such massive dips. I should have researched how to play this dumb game before I played it. One more relatively fair fight. That's good enough. That was good enough. That is enough testing for me. This game will tilt me. It does seem like the further we went, the smoother it got. So perhaps I need to run these games for like an hour or two before I really give them a fair judgment, but that did seem a lot smoother. I would have been curious if we started the counter like 15 minutes in and then kept going, but next game, final game, War Thunder here. So it does seem like the 5500 has made a difference. I'm expecting this to have higher 1% lows and higher average overall as well. Looks like we're still on medium. Everything is the same as we had it before. So we'll go ahead and I will show you my terribleness. Oh, I gotta turn that down. I will show you guys my terribleness again. Drive right into the ground. There is a hitch right there. Okay, interesting. So it's not without fault. I genuinely think some of this is a struggle with the 2060. We're gonna go ahead and show you the charts between the two. I really think the 5500 is better. We're gonna see that here probably, but I'm guessing that we're starting to see just some limitation of the 2060 trying to play some of these more modern games. All right, you guys, so blue is the 2600, orange is the Ryzen 5 5500. I use AI to put these charts together, otherwise it would just take way too much time for me, so sometimes they do what they want. Here we have it. So on average, the 5500 was about 14 FPS higher on Apex Legends, had a 30 FPS high, 1% low, and the max was exactly the same. So it seems that the limiting factor there was 100% to 2060. Average FPS was 70-ish FPS higher on Fortnite, and then the low was almost 30, but no, that's 26. Max was nearly double, so that's crazy. So 5500 is absolutely pulling through here on Fortnite. On Apex Legends, it didn't seem to make a difference. Interesting. Where Winds Meet, the average was 6 FPS higher, which at this rate is actually quite a bit. 52 to 58 is a decent jump. 1% low, so we were getting a lot higher there. And the max, this is probably just due to user error. That's probably my fault. Delta Force, so it was as I figured. We were getting an average of 77 on the 2600, 5500, 115. The 1% lows, I don't know. These are always so hard to tell, like if I did something wrong. But the max FPS, we did get way higher. So it did feel a lot more consistent on the 5500. And then War Thunder, a game that didn't feel as needy as far as CPU goes. Average FPS, it was playable on the 2600. But we were getting, you know, what is that, 75, 80-ish FPS more on average. Our 1% low. This was an anomaly, I think. I never really felt that, but maybe I did and I just didn't pay attention. And then the max FPS was significantly higher by like 60-ish. What is that? Yeah, 60 or so. So I'm gonna be honest, I kind of expected more out of that 2060 than we got, and I don't know how I'm feeling about that. I know we got a little stronger when we went from the 2600 to the 5500, and we probably could get a little more if we went more expensive, but the reality is you're finding 2060s in the used market, which I think they're overpriced personally for like 120 to 150. Sometimes you might find them for $100. And you guys, this might sound crazy, but I see 3050s cheaper, and I'll have to try it again, but my recollection of a 3050 was better than the 2060. So maybe you should get that. I'll see if I can get another one at some point and try out a 3050 to do the 3050 versus the 2060, but I think it's better. So, man, are we at a stage where some of these free games are just beyond the 2060, or do you just kind of have to tailor the expectations to, you're probably gonna have to go really low? Because I went in thinking it was gonna be a little more, like it could kind of hold its own a little more because it's not really that old, but I guess just at this point, like, it's just the cost of it. I think we may have to do an RX 580 versus the 2060 video, because the RX 580s, I think you can find them for like, I've seen them anywhere from $50 to $75 up to like $125. So I'd be really curious how those two run neck and neck. And I know we're gonna do the RX 580 on the free games in this series as well. So I might have to do some flashbacks to this or just have a dedicated video, because I really was disappointed and I just expected a lot more. Yeah. I wanted to have more good news for you in this one, but it seems like we're starting to hit some of the natural limitations of that 2060. I mean, that's kind of what happens when you're talking about pretty much the lowest end card that they release of that generation. I mean, I said it came out in like 2018 or 2017, and we're in 2026. So, you know, 7 to 9 years old at this point is pretty old for a graphics card. So it is nice to see that it can run some of these games. I personally would probably pick a different graphics card, or maybe I just got a lemon. I don't know. I mean, there's tons of other factors, like I messed up settings or I did something wrong that could kind of like push the video in a certain direction, because, you know, like I said, I might have messed something up. So who knows? But I felt like it was not the performance I wanted out of it. So I hope this was helpful for you guys if you're in the market for one, or, you know, it obviously can run games. So if you found one for $100 or $75 and there was nothing else in the market that you felt was competitive, or it's still a good card, like it'll still run games. But when you're talking about some of the most popular games and running them well, the 2060 might have hit a wall. So interesting to see. I do have a newsletter, forgot about that. You guys should check it out. I'll have that link below. It updates you of the upcoming content. Otherwise, if you are interested, I make tons of other content. I've got series like this. I have a series where I've done the graphics cards against the most demanding games, so AAA titles, the ones that cost a lot of money. And I think the 2060 performed better in that. Yeah, very strange. So I guess if you're a single player kind of person and you're trying to play, I think in Crimson Desert it was okay. So if you're trying to play single player games, I guess that graphics card is fine. Anyway, be sure to check out some of these other videos. I'm just rambling here, so I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya. Soon I'll have the, yeah, I don't know. See ya.